Hey guys, this is Mark. Welcome back. In this video, you and I will build your very first FlowRunner flow. We already have a tutorial on our website and in our FlowRunner documentation that describes the process of building the very first flow. And that flow is pretty cool. It is very illustrative of the some of the capabilities that you need to learn about FlowRunner, but I wanted to create something simpler and perhaps just as useful and even maybe more practical. So we will build a flow that is not in our documentation. We will get to that one and definitely walk through that process as well. But the flow that you and I will build will have literally three steps. Number one, it will listen for an event when you take a picture with your phone, and that picture would need to be a receipt, a business receipt, personal, doesn't matter, a receipt that shows some kind of transaction. Then we will use AI to extract data from that receipt and identify the merchant, the total amount, the date, and most importantly, we will ask AI to categorize this receipt, come up with a category so you can start recording your receipts, perhaps for tax purposes or your accounting purposes, whatever. You get the idea. And then finally, once we have a response from AI, we will just log it. So of course we could enhance, and maybe we will enhance that flow to save that data in Google Sheets or in our database somewhere. But for now, I would just want to demonstrate how to use logging facility to kind of provide feedback out of the flow for various purposes. Just you can see what's going on. So it's going to be very, very simple. And I will also show you how to create very basic web page that you can open up on your phone so you can start taking pictures of those receipts. But for now, let's go into FlowRunner and build that very first flow. So here I am in the FlowRunner interface, and in the previous video, I described how to use this interface, but I recalled after I finished recording the video that I never showed how to get us to this interface if you are in Backendless and you logged in to Backendless just using our kind of main entry point. So if you are in Backendless and if you see something like this, which is just the main screen for your workspace, if you go to quick access, you will see FlowRunner right here, the very first thing that shows up under automation. So click this and you will be in the FlowRunner interface. So now let's create a new flow. Click the Create New Flow button, and let's name this flow Receipt Scanner. So now this creates the flow and opens up FlowRunner Editor. The very first thing that we want to do is we want to listen for an event when the file is uploaded. So the app that we will create, which app is probably an overloaded term because it will be just a web page that opens up a camera and allows you to take a picture and uploads a file into your workspace. So with FlowRunner, you get all of those fantastic facilities that come with Backendless, including your dedicated file storage specifically for your workspace that has all the capabilities that you would expect in the remote file storage. You can upload files, create folders, whole 9 yards. So in here, if you navigate to the triggers section, then you will see that there is going to be file service category. So expand file service, and you will see this trigger, file uploaded. Drag it out, and that's going to be the very first thing that will be in your flow. It will sit and listen for whenever files are uploaded. We will trim it down later, perhaps over the course of this training course, to listen only for specific events, because there's a whole thing with conditions that exists in FlowRunner, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Right now, it's just going to be a general purpose file upload trigger. So this will sit and wait until the file is uploaded. Then after that, what we want to do is we want to go to AI, and we want to ask AI to process that image that is uploaded. So this trigger will also have data with it, okay? And that data includes information about the the picture that is your receipt. And there will be a whole URL to that picture, but you will see that later. So right now, let's create an AI assistant and configure it so it knows what to do. So in here in this panel, and if you perhaps are in this panel, if you clicked on file uploaded, click this icon right here, and it will open up this menu of all the choices that you have in FlowRunner. At the very top, you will see this Create AI Assistant. Click that Create AI Assistant and select this detailed configuration. Okay, and let's give it a name, and let's call it receipt processor. And then in here in the instructions, we want to describe what this assistant should do. So let's go with process provided receipt, extract the following information. And the information that we want to extract is merchant name, transaction date, total transaction amount. Now we want to say this: determine the category of the expense for accounting purposes. And then in here in this list, we will say expense category. And then we want to say extract the following information and return in the JSON format. And then if you want, you can even specify the names of the properties for in the JSON object. Let's not get there yet. This is already going to be sufficient. Click Show Advanced Information, and in the response format, select JSON. Why JSON? If you're not familiar with JSON, it is a structured format. So unlike plain text or a receipt that could have different structure, but is just a bunch of text, JSON is a format where all the data that you want to have about a receipt is in a predictable spot. It has sort of a name that is assigned to that data that it has, such as merchant name, and there is a value. And if you're not familiar with JSON, you will see exactly what I'm talking about once we start actually getting the data out of this AI assistant. So with all of this in place, also for the model, we can select GPT-4o Mini because it will be sufficient, and then click Create Assistant. So this assistant is created, you see, receipt processor, and now you can start using this receipt processor in multiple flows. So you create an assistant once, and then now you can just drag it out, and then you have your receipt processor. Connect this block, so whenever you hover the mouse pointer, you will get this icon right here that the tooltip for which will say drag to connect with another block. So you drag it out and connect with the receipt processor. Notice there is an error here. Okay, so there is a start. That's where the flow starts. This is our trigger, file uploaded. It will sit and wait till the file is uploaded. Once the file is uploaded, then we're passing control, and that is represented by this arrow, to the next step, to our receipt processor. Okay, and this receipt processor, there also we configured it with instructions, and then we want to provide an additional message, and we can say process receipt. And then notice that there is this images to process. Okay, so in here there is this icon that you will see throughout FlowRunner. When you click this icon, of course you can just type in whatever the value in this field, but in here we want to pass the data that we got from file uploaded trigger. In FlowRunner, there is the centralized place that gives you access to all of the data that is being handled in your flow. Okay, and we call it expression editor. That name may change, but let's call it expression editor for now. So when you click this icon, it will open up this expression editor. This guy at this point doesn't show a whole lot, but as your flow becomes more and more complex, all of the data will be in this expression editor. And the way this works is every time something happens in your flow, such as trigger is fired, or we have an action such as this AI assistant, when it does something, it produces a result. All those data elements will become available inside of this expression editor. Okay, so for example, you see this file uploaded. I clicked on file uploaded. In here, notice it says reference trigger data as file uploaded data. Okay, and that's just the value by default. Okay, we can actually call it receipt. And notice that once I called it receipt, if I go to my next step, which is receipt processor, and click on under this images to process, I click on this icon, notice that there's receipt block. And I double click it. Okay, so now a receipt block is in my expression. And if I click on this pencil, it shows the actual structure. You see these are properties: file URL, file name, file size, upload directory. These are individual data properties, elements of the data that was sent to our file upload. So whenever a file is uploaded, all these elements of data, such as file URL, the name of the file, all those things are being sent into that file upload. And here, what we want is we want just file URL. So click file URL, click apply. So now we're passing file URL from the file upload event into our AI assistant. Okay. Now, receipt processor also has this reference result data. Okay. And it says receipt processor result. And that is okay because we can just reference it as such. Okay. So at this point, we got the file. We processed the file. The result of this block is going to be our JSON object, JSON document that contains all of the data extracted from our receipt. And at this point, as the next step, this is where we can save it to Google Sheets, save it to the database, send by email, put it into the accounting system, completely up to you. What we are going to do is we're just going to display it on the screen. And for this, again, I click this icon, scroll down to this list of actions that are custom, like this is the extensions that are available. And then one of them says Flow Logger. So open up Flow Logger and you will see this log message. Drag it out into your flow. Okay. Log message is something that is very useful as you're building your flows to provide visual feedback and into what's going on inside of the flow. Because when the flow is running, it's just doing things, getting data from AI, putting it in a database. You don't really see it. Sometimes you want to see it back as the flow is running. So now, again, we will connect receipt processor with our log message, just like this, the same way. So the connections happen this way. If you want to break a connection, when you move the mouse over the arrow, you can just disconnect it, reconnect it. You could have multiple connections. You see, like this. It doesn't really make sense. It's just to demonstrate that a single block may have multiple lines coming into it. In this case, what would happen is when file is uploaded, log message will do its job. And then when the receipt is being processed, log message will also do this thing, whatever it's configured to do. We don't want this. We want to see the log message only after AI is done with it. Okay. So when you click on log message, you get these properties that can be used to configure it. Okay, and that is a general rule in FlowRunner. Whenever you click a block, you get these properties where you can configure what that block does and then the data that it receives and how it operates. So what we did this thing with our AI. We put in the URL of the image and we provided additional instruction to the AI assistant. So for the log message, the message itself that we want to log is going to be this. So again, we click on this icon, expression editor opens up. Notice that we have this receipt processor result element. This receipt processor result is the result from our AI. Notice that it says reference result data as receipt processor result. That's where it's coming from. So whenever we go into log message and open up expression editor, receipt processor result is going to be the result from our AI assistant. Double click. And then again, if we click on pencil, This is the structure that is provided to us outside of the AI assistant. If it generated any files, because we could ask AI assistant to generate images, charts, reports, whatever, then the files is going to be the place where it contains those files. We don't care about it because we never asked to generate any files. What we want is the decision, okay? Decision. So click decision, click apply. And at this point, our log message knows that it needs to log this information, which will be the decision from the AI. Okay, there is one more step that needs to happen. This log message, okay, needs to be configured. Okay, so right here, this configure button is important. So click configure button, and it asks for session code. So here's a great question. Where do you get the session code? Okay, the session code will come from a separate page. So you will once we do it, next thing that we will do is we will launch that flow, and it will be running. But where do you see things that are happening? Where does this log message send data to? Well, it sends data to a separate page that you can run located at logger.flowrunner.ai. Let's go to that place. So when you go to logger.flowrunner.ai, you will see this screen that just gives you 5 random numbers, okay, if you do it for the very first time. So what I want you to do is to copy these, and in my case I have 63893. Yours are going to be different, and go back to FlowRunner, and then select log message, click configure, and then put these 5 digits in here into the session code. Click save. At this point, our flow is configured. Anytime this block runs, we will see it right here. So as soon as this guy receives the very first message, the screen will change and it will just display this data. Okay, so flow is ready. The very last thing that needs to be done is to create a page that we can run so we can start scanning our receipts and sending to the flow. At this point, as far as the flow runner, the only thing that is left to be done is to click the start flow button. So I want you to do this, click start flow. That's it. Our flow is running. In fact, you can return to go to the flow manager. You will see this, and that's going to be the statistics about your flow. Now, to create a page that will allow you to scan receipts, what I want you to do is click quick access and select UI Builder. UI Builder is a subsystem in Backendless that gives you an ability to create UIs. This one is going to be super simple. So what I want you to do is you will get a page like this. And if you are familiar with UI Builder, just create a new page. If you're not, you will just get this default page. And then right here, it's going to be a toolbox of all kinds of UI components. Scroll all the way to the bottom. You will see this file uploader button. Just drag it out here. And that's it. So this button, when you run this page on mobile, it will render and provide you a way to scan images. Okay. So in here, under capture, the only thing you need to do is change it to environment, because what this controls is basically which camera to default to. If it's environment, it's the camera that is facing away from you. If it is user, it's going to be for selfies. Okay. We want the environment. Okay. And at this point, the only other thing that you might want to do is in the directory, just type in the word receipts. So it just all the scanned images go to a specific directory. That's it. Okay. Then what you need to do is just click this desktop preview. Okay. That will open up this page on the desktop. Okay. Looks like this. All right. You can take the URL of this page, right? This URL, and then open it up on your phone. Just send it to yourself via Slack, WhatsApp, email, however you want to do it. Just take this URL and open it up on your phone. Okay, so this way, when you click this button, it will open up this page on your mobile phone. Another way to do this is if you go into this mobile preview, okay, you will need to download, and there is an app called Backendless Viewer. You can just install it from App Store, and then once it is installed in Backendless Viewer, there's going to be scan QR code. You scan this QR code. This QR code can be scanned only in Backendless Viewer. You cannot just scan it in any QR code scanner. Okay, it is very specific. So, and it makes things easier. So scan it, and it will open it up. So what I'm going to do is I will go back to FlowRunner. In fact, let me actually just scan it, and I will use Backendless Viewer, and I will just demonstrate how things work. Okay, so here it is. It opened up this page in Backendless Viewer, but what I will do is I'm switching the screen that I have here to Flow Logger, and then here I have a receipt from some business lunch that I had, and let me just scan this receipt, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so here it is. It is scanned, and I'm uploading. So now let's just see what happens. So it's going to go to AI, we'll extract all the information, and then we should see the results of that right here. As you can see, it worked. So the merchant name, it was a Fuddy's Mediterranean Grill. This is when it happened. Spent $37, and as you can see, the category is food and dining. And at this point, you see that it's working, right? So it is done. In fact, just to show how versatile it is, I do have another receipt right here, which is for a rental car. We have very different structures. You can see, they are very, very different. So let's just see if it also works for completely different structures. So let me scan this one, and I'm curious how well that will work. Okay, so here it is. Took a picture, uploading. Let's wait and see what happens. And then the time that it takes, it is the time for AI for the image. There you go. Compass Sports, that was the company. 200, yeah, everything is correct. Rent and miscellaneous charges. So as you can see, it works quite well. Of course, the more instructions you provide to AI, the better it will work. But here, with very primitive set of instructions that we configured it already works quite well. Let's go back to our FlowRunner. And in here, you will see that there were 2 runs. I scanned 2 receipts, and then there is some analytics here. Of course, to make it more practical, this log message needs to be replaced, or we need to add additional blocks to save it somewhere. But with what we already have in here, I believe it is quite demonstrative of how simple things are. Of course, there are some things you need to learn, such as how to use expression editor, how the whole data transformations happen. But with this, I think you start getting an idea of how easy it is to work with FlowRunner. Of course, things will only get easier, and you will learn so much more as we go through this training. And I'm really excited about this. Thank you for watching this video. It is a little longer than I planned, but it's one of the very first steps, and it's quite important. So thanks for sticking with me, and congratulations on getting your very first FlowRunner flow running. If you have any questions, if something didn't work, please comment, please reach out to us through our support forum. We're here to help you. Thank you, and until the next video, happy automation.